Hi, everyone. Welcome. Today, we are very excited because we're going to be talking about go-to-market strategies and ways in which you can be really effective at it. And the way that we're approaching it is by starting with some basic myths, things that you might be thinking about in terms of go-to-market. You are assuming that you should be doing based on current trends and all that other stuff. As it turns out, the old school ways may be the best ways. Isn't that right, Sarah?
True. Yes.
True.
Yeah. Surprisingly, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird, especially if you're B2B. B2B buyers like to use old methods like, Morse code and stuff like that. So we're going to get out into that in a few minutes. We're feeling much like a wreck today. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But first, I think, Sarah, we have a question for Make It Make Sense.
Yes. Our Make It Make Sense is a question about social media platforms. It says, I'm overwhelmed by platforms I am on. Too much content to produce. Do I damage my efforts to go deep instead of wide?
That's a really great question. Actually, I think it's one that many of us are feeling, particularly if you're a small business. You get into these kind of life cycles in which you start to think, okay, well, the absolute best way for me to generate leads, to make deals, and do all of these things is by using social media, Facebook or YouTube or something like that. And posture, we're doing it. We're really excited. This is, at the time of recording, this is our 10th episode. God only knows what happened when it was released. But at the time of recording, we're excited. We started this a couple months ago. And then we also each decided to take on a bit of a personal challenge. I decided I was going to start a couple of different long type episodes and a couple of different shorts, which was awesome. Sarah started doing shorts on TikTok for gardening, which is pretty awesome.
But not like actual.
No, she has billions of followers at this point. Yeah,
I have like 43. No.
43. I'm not saying, hey, I'm just saying that we are producing content, and we did just start yesterday. My partner also has started a vlog that's like food related travel, and it gets really funny because you have lots of things. Going back to the analogy of work, you have lots of things that you could be talking about. When we brainstorm, we come up with the craziest ones. Like, why don't we have a fireworks show in which we write on different ways to go to market and shoot them off and see what works. Stuff like that. Very Mr. Beast. But the point is that I think like the question kind of alludes to, it can be very overwhelming, particularly if you, in all seriousness, start to get into this question of, am I versioning this content? What platforms are the best platforms to be on? What types of content should it be? How long should it be? And all of those things. And if you're
also,
anything like me,
how many platforms? Like, should I do all of the platforms? Should I focus on the quality and just do a few platforms? I know that's what we struggled with.
Yeah, it is actually
kind of narrowing it down.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's right. I think a couple of weeks ago, Sarah, our videography, Julian, and I got together, and we were just talking about the basics of like the content that we're creating. For every one of these videos we're creating, we're also creating blog posts and takeaways and flip books and all this other stuff. And Julian asked a really, really great question, which is, why are you doing this? My natural response was, because I hate myself. But when it came down to it, I think that's the first and most fundamental question. Why are you creating this content? If you're a small business, is it to generate leads? It's to create some level of brand awareness, whatever it is you need for your dog walking business or something like that. If you're a large business doing a product launch, is it to introduce these new products to the market and explain how they work? Show everybody what they are and do nice 3D visualizations and those kinds of things. The why are you doing this really, really matters. And so what Sarah kind of said a second ago is exactly what happened. We sat down and said, well, what we want to do is grow our business through referrals. So we want people to see this and we want them to forward it on. That means something very differently from we want to be famous podcasters. We do. At the time of recording, we were not yet famous.
You do.
We're not yet famous. I can only assume if you guys are watching this that at some point there was a breaking point. But I think, what we did say is, look, we want air cover. We want to be able to go to our trusted and loving clients and say, hey, did you see this most recent thing? Can you share it with other people? We want this to be a referral engine. And let me tell you, it actually is working. It's been a referral engine as we've started to launch these. So very excited about that. I think there are 3 fundamental questions that you should answer when you're trying to figure out whether or not you should be on all the platforms, on one of the platforms, how much content you should be producing, and all that stuff. The first one is, much like our question, which was what were we doing it for? The question is, who is your audience and where do they buy? Where do they do the things that you want them to do? For us, our audience is on LinkedIn, but we can bring in this video as a way to get attention on their feed. Your buyers may be in Facebook Marketplace or in TikTok Marketplace and all sorts of different places. Think about who they are and when or where they transact. Do they go there to learn about a product? Are they on YouTube because they want to watch an hour-long product about your software, which is totally legit? Or are they on YouTube watching some shorts and just flipping through and you want to intercede and get in the way of all that and tell them about your product? Both very good strategies if that's where your audience is. The second piece of that, 1B would be, when do they watch? This is an interesting thing. If you are anything like me, you're in YouTube Studio and you're clicking the analytics over and over again and kind of sometimes forget the time of day that they're watching it. And there's a lot of assumptions about, okay, 2:00 on a Tuesday or 9 a.m. on a Monday being the optimal times. And yes, if you're going to pick a time, pick one of those times. Look it up on LinkedIn or wherever. Find out for your industry what the best time for people to be essentially procrastinating at work and put your content out at that point. But that's a very, very important thing. Where are they and when are they there? And then you can kind of build the communication strategy around it. You don't need to be on every platform if you're a mid-sized, B2B company that is just interested in, landing some new deals and building out your company. What you need is to have a marketplace that your target buyer is and know when you should be messaging to them in terms of real physical time of day. You can slam a bunch of content out there and schedule it to hit your target audience at that particular time. I think the other question, too, and this was one that was baked into that conversation that the 3 of us had a couple weeks ago, is how consistently can we produce this content? There is a kind of logic, which is to say that for a new creator or company, you need to put out 5 episodes before the algorithm will even start looking at you. Not necessarily true, first of all. Depending on the type of content you're putting out there, Instagram behaves very differently from YouTube shorts in terms of testing stuff and all that. But I think my point is that there used to be this idea that if you slam tons of content out there, it would be better than dripping out a little bit of stuff. As it turns out, like in the case of YouTube, the 2026 YouTube algorithm and the changes they've made there is actually favoring quality. And metrics like the amount of time that a user actually watches something, like a minute, do they drop off at a minute 30? Or the amount of number of times that they return and watch that video again. So if you're doing a short, is their watch rate at 120%, 150%? Are people looping on this thing? The only way that you get caught with that is by giving something to your audience that is engaging and high quality. You don't have to do it twice a day. You don't have to do it every Tuesday and Thursday. But when you do it, you need to land it so you're hooking them and you're serving your goals. If you want them to enter your funnel, get them hooked on your content and get them into your funnel. If you want to be famous, then yes, produce massive amounts of content. I dare you. You'll love it. But I mean, dial it back. Like, I created, as I said, I created a YouTube, and I have my shorts and I have my long format stuff. And I just realized I can't be producing all that stuff every week. So it's sequenced it out. I'll do a short now. I'll do something else. Consistency matters. Quality and consistency. And so that's the other piece of the puzzle. Can I do this on a reliable schedule? Can my audience rely on me at 2:00 on Tuesdays? That's when you want to get them. You want to get them where they watched you before, they're looking at their feed, they're wanting that content, and you hit them with that content again. It becomes something they can trust. A lot of times people aren't going to invest emotionally into a channel or into a show that there isn't tons of content. I don't know if you guys are like me. I love to binge. I mean, binge. I want to go back to 2013 and watch what the house looked like when they started, right? So
that's true. I do that too.
Yeah, you're like forever on going after, like, oh, wait a second, this was awesome. Oh, they have content from 95? It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the other thing. It's just consistency and letting people know. They want to be engaged. They want it to be quality. They want it to be something that they can either binge or just reliably watch. They can look forward to it and they can come back to it. And hopefully that's something actually you're getting from the Posture podcast. But anyways, so there are a lot of thresholds that you can hit in terms of metrics and all the social media stuff. Getting back to the core question, I think, hit on those three things. Who's your audience and where are they? You have to put out stuff that's quality and engaging and getting people in the direction you want to get them in. And the third one is you have to do so. You have to be committed to your audience in terms of getting them consistent content. Everything else can fall away. You don't need to be producing content on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, what have you. You have to be producing content where your audience is, and you have to be pushing your audience to where they transact. And if it's on TikTok Marketplace, great, close them there. If it's on Facebook Marketplace, you're a small business, transact, close them there. If it's on YouTube where they're watching explainer videos, know that they're mid-funnel and then get to your website or get them into a direct sales call. That's the life cycle. Know your audience, make it high quality, make it high engagement, and hit on it consistently so they can do it. So that's the way I feel about it. Yes with a no, and no with a maybe. Yeah, absolutely.
That is always your answer. Yes with a but, no with a maybe.
It's true. Yes, but yeah, go out there, do all of that content, create as much as you can. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love yourself in the morning, and we're going to go from there. Okay. So I actually love that was kind of our first make it make sense question. And reason being because it really kind of talks to this go-to-market dilemma, which is to say, which channels, which methods do we use? How do we employ them? What's the best thing? And we get stuck into myths about what is the best thing to be doing, or maybe we read an article or something that suggested something, and we get trapped into this idea as we're developing our go-to-market strategy. And the reality is, we'll often talk about go-to-market strategy, and we'll talk about what goes well and what goes poorly to market. Normally speaking, those choices about where and how you're going to go to market are the places in which go-to-market fails. It's very early on. It's those kinds of micro assumptions that you may be making when you go to turn to the marketing plan or working with your go-to-market strategy team. So we wanted to run through those, and Sarah's actually come up with 3 myths that she has identified that are pretty common that people are making as they build out their go-to-market strategy. And I actually have been reading this new report from HubSpot. There's nothing better than YouTube analytics for me than the HubSpot marketing survey, folks. Yes. So their 2025 HubSpot marketing survey just came out.
2026.
It's what did I say? 2023?
2025.
2025. See, there's lots of content here, people. Go back to 2025. You could binge this. I'll be talking about this for years. Okay. At the time of recording, it's 2026. if you discovered this found footage somewhere in the future, you'll have to forgive us. Probably look up the 2029 version of it. But anyway, so we took a look at the 2026 HubSpot State of Marketing report. So we're kind of excited to share that with you. And so we'll go through those kind of numbers. It's kind of interesting. And Sarah's going to talk a lot about her 3 myths. So this is about our point of view on this. And at its core, our point of view as it relates to go-to-market and undoing these myths is leverage AI, but take a balanced approach to the types of platforms and methods and methodologies you're going to use to go to market. Old school, just as good as the new stuff. And with that, I'm going to pass it to you, Sarah, for myth number 1.
So our myth number 1 is what we were kind of just talking about, which is that social media is the whole funnel. And you know, that can feel true, especially when there's that immediate feedback, the likes, the comments, the analytics, people watching it. It feels good.
Yeah, it feels great.
Things are happening in real time, but in actuality, that's not the case. And yeah, you'd be surprised to find out what the actual data says about that.
In fact, I have an actual data if you want to hear it, Sarah.
I would love to.
That was not a tee up. One actual data. Why read a digital report when you can print it out? Am I right, people? Okay, so this one, so talking about diverse ways that people go at it, I would not have thought this actually. When asked, small business owners, 50% said that their website or their blog was their most successful channel. I think that's interesting. 50% seems high. A blog. I mean,
yeah, a blog. Yeah.
This is like 20 something or other. I mean, it could be in the future. We don't know.
What's interesting is that that pattern is true across small businesses, mid-market, enterprise. The websites, blogs, and SEO are the most leveraged channel. And it makes sense because consumers aren't, especially in B2B, they're not making the decision inside your social media feed. The purchases that or the transactions that need deeper thought.
There's a longer consideration cycle for those kinds of larger. I mean, the larger the product price, the more time they're going to spend thinking about it.
Right. I mean, like lower consideration purchases, those can happen inside like TikTok Shop. What I kind of equate it to is like those impulse buys at the grocery store. You're in the line, you've already, compared prices, you've already, read the reviews, you've already looked at and made your lists, and you've gotten your whole grocery cart full, but then you're there at the line and you're like, I could use that lighter. I could use those mints. Get that real quick.
Which at this point we'd like to introduce posture mints. Get it with your go-to-market strategy. I was just going to say, it's interesting because you're kind of pointing to that long sales cycle. I always find it amazing when I open my inbox that there's absolutely nothing from anyone I work with at all. It's all like emails. And, our good friends at the State of Marketing said that it's 43% in the B2B context. 43% said email is their most effective channel, which that seems like it's going back in time, right?
Yeah,
That's
it
Web
really
1.0.
surprised me. Yeah, that really surprised me. And another kind of weird statistic is that mid-market said that email was their least leveraged channel, but small business, it was like their second behind website and blog. So there's kind of like a dip in the pattern. Personally, I think that it's about personalization. So you have your websites and your blogs are platforms where you control, the customer, the buyer experience. And email is where you can make that experience more personalized. And I think that small business owners and enterprises have really honed in on that.
I think that is an absolutely fascinating point, Sarah. I think you're right. I think two pieces of it. We talk about Facebook Marketplace and the Meta Business Suite and how sophisticated it is in terms of micro targeting. But small businesses can go in there, do something they can't normally do as a small business, which is to find exactly who's in their neighborhood wanting to walk their dog. But they can make that personal, really, really targeted, personalized approach in a way that's not necessarily available through other channels. And to your point with email, I never get an email anymore that doesn't sound like someone from inside sales has sat down and researched my LinkedIn. A lot of times it's terrible, but you really have the ability to generate personalized content there in a way that you weren't able to do even a couple of years ago. So I think that's a really solid point.
Yeah. Now that's not to say that social media isn't useful. It's a great place where you can build awareness about your brand, where you can introduce ideas. You can, get the kind of motion started. But it's not where you want it, to start and finish on that. It's a way to kind of give direction for your buyer. Like, start here, here's the awareness, but there needs to be a next step involved.
Yeah, that's right.
Visit our website, contact us, stuff like that.
Yeah. You may find social's not the thing. You also may find that it's a combination, to Sarah's point, of whatever the buyer life cycle is. Where do they start their consideration? Like, do they notice you on TikTok and then they move to your website and then watch an explainer video and then talk to inside sales? Are they doing it a completely different way? Knowing that sequence will help you balance, what roles do social media platforms play in this? And the reality is they may hit on different points before or after your email or before or after your, website. It's not a linear path so much anymore. So you really kind of have to understand, talk to your buyers and figure out how they got your product, kind of stuff. Okay. So Sarah, myth number 2, it seems like this is a wonderful lead on, because we're talking about social media. So it's directly connected to the second one. Now,
which is messaging, which is about
messaging. Hey, you message on social media. Facebook Messenger is, you do that. So, no, we're talking about product marketing messaging, Sarah. So myth number 2 is messaging should focus on your features.
Ooh, yeah, no. And a lot of product marketing starts with features. And I think it's because they're concrete. It's, something you can point to, you can make a list. You can, they change, so you can announce updates, and, it's an easy kind of go-to to list. But over time, those features start to carry more weight than they actually should. And they become the headline instead of what should be the support for the headline.
That's a good one. Yeah, I think the key for me is that around that features question. Yeah, Sarah, I think it's a wonderful point. It's a tangible thing. It's easy for your average product marketer to sit down and list them off and talk about how great the product is, but that's not what motivates someone to purchase the product. There are pain points, and there are reasons to purchase and benefits they're looking for your product. And we've actually done other episodes about features and benefits and the difference between those two things. We will probably do multiple. If you're watching this from the future, you can go back years and hear all of those ones. But I do think it's interesting because on that point, the HubSpot report really kind of really not even just suggested, really highlighted that, marketers think that focusing on features over benefits over features is benefiting and helping them close. at a rate of 93%. 93%, let me say it a clearer way, 93% of marketers responded that there's real impact when you focus on benefits as opposed to features. So it's something that maybe it may not be common wisdom. It's obviously a myth, but it's something that marketers, when they pay attention to that, they notice that there's a real conversion difference when you're talking about someone's the benefits someone will get as opposed to the features.
Right. And when the messaging reflects the customer's situation, and it really allows the customer to put themselves in the place or put themselves in the story. So when the messaging focuses on the features, the buyer has to find their own like value proposition. It makes them do the work. But if your messaging focuses on the benefits, it really personalizes the message. And instead of, the buyer asking, what does this do? They asking, why does this matter to me? And, the benefits become the story that we often talk about, and the features become the science and the evidence that backs up the story. This is why it matters to you. And this is how we can help you in your situation, fix your problem.
Yeah. Product marketing 101. I mean, that's like, yeah, it's so very important. Interesting. And it's interesting that people do respond with that, but I think you make some great points about calling that out as a myth, because I think a lot of times people go in there and it's just like, they're talking about the steel cup and not the fact that it keeps your drink warm. Watch posture for that example.
Go back to episode, what was that? Episode 1?
Yeah, episode
3,
yeah, something,
something like that.
We can't remember. We're on episode 10 at this point, and it's killing us to even just, I mean, unbelievable. Okay. Myth number 3. We promised you 3 myths. We promised you 3 myths. We're going to give you 3 myths, ladies and gentlemen. So myth number 3, I kind of love, and there's like just a billion different statistics about the use of AI in marketing or marketing tech and how much investment there is and stuff like that. I think it's fascinating.
And will it take your job?
And will it take your job? This is something that Sarah has gained a bit of fame for, her perspective on humans and robots and working together.
That's right. I have been saying it from the beginning.
Whatever. The beginning of what? AI?
The beginning of our podcast.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah.
Go back to episode 1. I think this is feeling off topic. If you watch Sarah's shorts on YouTube, they're all about things that Sarah said, and I think it's a little one-sided. Frankly, I'm a little over it. I'm like, nothing for me. Okay, AI will do the marketing for you. Myth 3. So I have 2 interesting stats here. Stat number 1, Sarah, I can't wait for your reaction to these. Stat number 1. So there is this common idea that AI will help you produce content faster, which is why good content consistently is so important right now, because AI is producing so much bad content in such volume so often. So there is this belief, and in fact, 71% of marketers, and I've seen very, very different versions of this question, and it is pretty consistent, 70 to 75. But in the HubSpot one, it's 71% say AI helps them produce more content, whether it's video, RIN or whatever. Marketers, growth marketers, you got to get a bunch of content out there. Use AI to do it. You'll love it. But the other one, and this makes you scratch your head a little bit, Sarah. The other one is that people don't want crappy AI content now. They want something that's a little bit storytelling, that's connecting to their emotions. Some of the stuff that you were talking about in terms of messaging just a second ago, people want that in the content they're getting. It's called good messaging. They want that. And so 63% of marketers said that people want content that is human-centered or a human touch. So I think, I think that's an interesting balance. Like, everybody has to acknowledge that AI is going to just blow out the amount of content that we can create.
Yeah.
but your buyers don't necessarily want that. They want to feel connected to a human. I don't know. What's your reaction to that, Sarah? That's interesting.
Well, I mean, it makes the job of marketing feel like just like mass production, just, getting content out there versus, making quality content, or making, quality messaging. And another report that I was reading earlier, and this is, I had never even heard of this council before, but it was the Marketing AI Industry Council, and it released their 2026 Marketing Talent AI Impact Report. And
Wow.
speaking of legit, I mean, so leaders from organizations like Google, Ford, the Cleveland Clinic, are on this council, and they were, looking at companies who have already adopted AI, and basically their conclusion wasn't that AI replaces marketing work. It was that it kind of shifts the marketer's job. And since, AI can, mass produce it, it can help you, create outlines and, synthesize and summarize information, general outputs. It's the actual strategic thinking and the storytelling, the emotional intelligence that they call the human edge, also what other people have referred to as the human in the loop. And that's what marketers have, the skill that really needs to be focused on when you're, trying to create a message or being a marketer and doing that job. So, AI is, good at output, but it doesn't understand the, broader context of a market or the nuance of a value proposition, or even strategy. That part still belongs to humans. And again, like I was saying, it's, AI is not going to be the marketer. It's going to be the tool the marketer uses to get ahead. And it's interesting. I was reading a series of testimonials by people who have been hired by Fortune 500 companies to lead their AI department. And consistently what was happening is they were laying off mass amount of employees and having AI be the ones to do their job. And small little things in the early stages were wrong, was misinterpreted, or the AI did something, kind of altered things. And from that point on, everything was messed up. And time had to be spent to fix it. It just caused a mass amount of chaos within these departments. And what ended up happening is a few months later, they had to rehire. Sometimes it was the same people they had just fired who had taken that time off and became experts or at least educated themselves in AI. And they had to create like an AI oversight committee or AI oversight department to correct some of these tiny little things that were being, misinterpreted or rearranged by the AI in the beginning. So when I was reading those, I was like, yep, I could have told you that.
We didn't see that coming a little bit. It is interesting though, because we did a recent episode in which we were talking about a competitive research, creating your own competitive research agent. I think we were doing it on ChatGPT, but that idea, there's two pieces that you just kind of talked about. The piece one was, it doesn't have a context for what needs to be done, so it will easily misinterpret exactly what it is you're trying to do. So thing one is to make sure that whether in the knowledge base or the structuring or, the prompts or whatever those things, context is really well filled out, both in terms of your customer, the market, you, and all those things. That needs to be defined specifically. But that human on the loop thing is something that we've been passionate about in terms of, working with clients or whatever to develop that process, which is to say, don't go out and do something. Go out, do a little bit, and come back to us. And Sarah, I think you showed us that last time in terms of like even just asking a question, it gathering the sources and say, do you like these sources? So it can't hallucinate, that there's a report that doesn't exist, because you're able to catch that before it starts to synthesize anything or compile anything. Right. So it's that human in the loop, that human approval cycle and intentionality that goes with it is critically important, at least at this point in history.
Yeah. And it's not even just, approving just sources. You have to check those actual sources and find the data points that the AI might be calling out, because sometimes there's a misinterpretation that it does. It'll give you a data point that might be more of a hypothesis, but if you read the full report at the end, it says it changes the outcome changes, what the actual hypothesis is, or this data doesn't back up the hypothesis. So whatever data point that it might be calling out and whatever source, all of it still needs to be double checked and read over. What does make it easier is it, gives you a starting point. It allows you to, have, these, 5 papers and then you can go and look somewhere instead of just, Google searching, what does this or what does that, or how can I back up this? It gives you a starting point. And then, you can correct it as it goes, but even correcting AI sometimes doesn't allow for it to fully understand and really hone in on the nuance of a situation.
It's the stubborn toddler of technology. That's what I would say.
It is.
You got to tell chat that they can have carrots or peas, not whether or not they want vegetables. That's stubborn little toddler of technology. 3 T's. You heard it here first. We're branding that. The posture. 3 T's. Oh, dear God. Okay, well, as I said, that's our point of view on it. And I love the way, Sarah, that you just kind of encapsulated them into myths. Our point of view is, use AI, obviously, and marketers are. Don't let it do all the work for you. And don't double down on just one way of trying to capture your buyer, your consideration cycle like that. Email is still alive, apparently, if you're enterprise class B2B. Maybe they're the ones forcing it, but it's still alive.
Dude, that was the most surprising stat that I read. And I was like, what? Really? Okay.
I don't even know what email is. I went straight to Web 4.0.
Well, people joke constantly about email. You're still using email, but
I just wear
you're still using social media should be what people actually say.
If you can't find me on Apple Vision, you can't find me. So anyways, so use AI, but keep that go-to-market process balanced. The older tools that you may not be considering should be considered, and you should figure out if that's a great way to hit on your audience. Sarah, any other closing thoughts about that?
Well, I guess what kind of connects all 3 of these tools or all 3 of these myths are the idea that, it's not the tool, it's not what it does, it's how it's used, like how you use social media, how you communicate the features versus benefits, how you use AI. And it's your job as, the marketer, to really be in charge of the strategy.
It's awesome. That's a great call. Okay. Well, if you have any questions about your go-to-market strategy, or if you have further questions about these myths and how you can make sure that your plan is well suited and well-founded to hit your buyers, don't forget or don't hesitate to reach out to us. Visit us at posture.consulting. That's our website. And as a small business, we love our website. We also have a blog there, and obviously we'll continue to post content like this if you like it. And if you do like it, please like, subscribe, and share. All of those things matter to us. But more importantly, refer us to a good friend or colleague. But when we're sitting there clicking through YouTube Studio, I just want to see the likes and shares. All right. Thank you all.